Welcome back to Conversations with Ted. I'm Chris Wilson, your host. Up next is part 2 of our discussion with Peter Spanos.
Success depends on reaching out to your colleagues and team building. And the same team building skills that work at other firms are perfectly normal and natural for here and work the same way.
You have a national client base. Has working remotely helped with regard to handling their needs? Do they even know that you work remotely? Have you had any feedback from clients with regard to coming over to our model and them, whether they're noticing a difference or not? I'm curious about that.
Actually, Chris, working remotely is particularly well suited to a national practice. After all, in a national practice, you're too far from the client's office or from the location where the case is taking place or where the incident took place or whatever. You're too far to have routine daily contact in person anyway. So the way in which I interact with clients and the work I do is no different being in the remote program at Taylor English than it was for years doing the same national practice with a physical office, because the physical office made no difference. Doing a national practice as a remote attorney is inseparably, it's identical to what you would be doing otherwise. The only difference is, from my end, what walls do I see?
So you've been in our model now for about 6 months, and I'm curious, after sort of experiencing our model for a little bit of time, getting your feet wet, what do you think are some of the attributes that an attorney needs to have in order to be successful in our model?
First, I would say that an attorney who would be most successful in the model would be self-defining. And by that, I mean not just self-starting, but also to a large extent self-reliant and willing to take advantage of the freedom that exists in the model. I think that you can get the most out of the model if you are the sort of person who knows, I'm among the best at what I do. And I know what I want to do, why I want to do it, and for whom I want to do it. And all I want is an opportunity to connect directly with the client and do it. That's self-defining, as I'm using the term. The other thing I would say is that, second thing is good team building skills. And it's important everywhere. But it's very important to be able to reach out to people that you may or may not have dealt with before, and to establish rapport with them and find a mutual opportunity. Good team building skills. There's a lot of things involved in team building, but good team building skills are very important.
Recently, an AmLaw 200 firm announced that they were going to be hiring attorneys to work around the country in markets where they weren't physically located, where the firm wasn't physically located. And this particular AmLaw 200 firm is primarily a litigation-focused law firm. I'm curious as to your thoughts as a litigator, or attorney who does litigation, what your thoughts are with regard to this AmLaw 200 firm announcing publicly that they were going to start hiring attorneys in markets where they weren't physically located.
Well, first of all, it's a compliment that the firm sees the necessity in today's market to try something new. So it's kind of a compliment that they want to do that. Of course, it's important to notice also that the remote model works for any type of attorney. It's not simply for a transactional attorney or a real estate attorney or whatever. It works for litigators, especially in a national practice where you have a wide variety of people in different locations, as Taylor English does. You don't have to rely as much on hiring other firms as local counsel. That's a big plus.
And what do you see sort of looking in the future as far as the practice of law goes? Do you see more law firms adopting this type of structure? Or do you think once the pandemic is over and perhaps it's all safe to go back to an office, what do you think the other traditional AmLaw 200 firms are going to do? Will they sort of allow the attorneys the freedom that they've had over the past 6-8 months or so? Or do you think they're going to tell everybody, okay, I've paid for this real estate for the next 10 years. You got to come in here and work?
I think some firms will choose going back to the traditional model, and other firms will choose going forward with a lot more options for attorneys. I think, though, that remote working is absolutely here to stay. If you read about other industries besides the law, that seems to be a common understanding that things will never totally return to the way that they were before. Law, I think, is particularly well suited to the remote model among a lot of industries that you could name. And so I think that the remote model will continue on regardless of whether it's necessary for the pandemic or not.
If you had to provide some advice to younger attorneys, what would you tell them?
I would tell them, first of all, actually this came up in a practice group meeting yesterday. I would tell them, first of all, to be sure to get bar admissions in multiple states, because the practice of law is not confined to Atlanta, Georgia, or the Northern District of Georgia. The practice of law is increasingly international and national in scope. And it's just very important to be able to have the self-confidence to practice with wherever clients are. The second thing is to have great team building skills, and work not only on mentoring, which is important, but learn how to build teams yourself and how to interact with colleagues and how to make relationships with colleagues that work to your mutual benefit and work for the mutual benefit of clients. And then the third thing is think about what kind of lawyer you want to be and whether the place you're at allows you to be that lawyer or would really rather you be someone else. It's an important criterion to look at.